पूर्वम् यो वै वेदांश्च प्रहिणोति तस्मै तमहदेवमात्मबुद्धिप्रकाशम् मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्मविद्या सम्प्रदायकर्तृभ्यो वंश ऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। सर्वोपप्लवरहितः प्रज्ञानघनः प्रत्यगर्थो ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि। वेदान्तार्थविभासकाय गुरवे शान्ताय सन्न्यासिने नानावादीनगेन्द्रसङ्घपवये योगीन्द्रवन्द्याय च मोहध्वान्तदिवाकराय भगवत्पादाभिधां बिभ्रते तस्मै भाष्यकृते नमोऽस्तु सततं पूर्णाय बोधात्मने। सर्वतन्त्रस्वतन्त्राय सदात्माद्वैतवेदिने श्रीमते शङ्करार्याय वेदान्त गुरवे नमः। योऽवतीर्ण इहाचार्य रूपेण यतीनामुदे श्रीमन्नारायणं वन्दे तं हरिं करुणानिधिं। मननाख्यं प्रकरणं वासुदेव यतीश्वरे रचितं विस्तरेणाद्य संग्रहेण प्रकाश्यते। बालानामुपकाराय मम विज्ञानसिद्धये तत्र श्रीबालगोपाल कृष्णसन्निहितो भवेत्। Whether this Atma can become the Drishyam, if not for the eyes, at least for the mind, or not, is the question. Drishyam matlab something that can be seen, observed, known, experienced is the question. So we have seen this first part of the question in our earlier class. Just to recapitulate, He Swamin, Atma Chidrupaha Kenapi न ज्ञायते इति भवद्भिः uktam khalu. Oh Lord, this is the way Upanishads also say. This is the way one should address the teacher. Hey Swamin, Atma Chidrupaha, that this Atma is of the nature of consciousness. Chidrupaha, Kenapi na jnayate, and is not known by anyone. No matter even if it is Indra, Chandra, Rudra, whosoever. So those who have the claim of knowing, for them they have to know. Kenapi na jnayate iti bhavatbhihi uktam. Now, whosoever it may be, will always employ the jnanendriyas or the antakaranam to know what else is there, no matter whether you are a pauper or you are some great, Sikandar, Alexander. Finally going, you also have the same set of eyes, so sense organs, and the mind to know. You are endowed with that. So whether you are some Indra or you are some, the insignificant person over here, a mortal of the earth. And that's why, since everybody is endowed with just this, whatever will be known through the Indriyas or through the Antakaranam. You do not have anything else other than this to know. And those specific praktis of Antakaranam are known as the Pramanas. Correct? Pratyaksha, Anumana, etc. Now, so when he says consciousness is not illumined by, by any of these equipments, and therefore it could be anybody. Atma remains not in the category of known, drishya. Kenapi na shyayate iti bhavatbhihi uktam. That is what you have said. Manasa sakalam shyayate. Now, whatever is known is finally known through your mind only. Good or bad, pleasant or unpleasant. Okay. Wanted or unwanted, whatever is known will be always known through mind. Sakalam shyayate. Then, since this is what you have, then you will also be forced to say, since Atma needs to be known, Manasa eva shyatavyam iti chet, tenaiva Atmapi tenaiva Manasa shyatavyam iti chet. So now, since this is the equipment you have, and there is nothing else, you could be the yogi of highest order. You find, in order to know what is there with you, mind. Only thing is that your mind is polluted. His mind may be calm and composed and collected. That's all the difference that is there. Then, tenaiva manasa shatavyam iti chet shrunu. Now the teacher says, listen, mana utpatti vinashavat. Basically, what is how is this mind? You have to understand the nature of mind first. Mana utpatti vinashavat is vana. Because it is a napumsakalinga, it will be vat. So utpatti vinashavat. Sankalpa roopam. And how is it? It is in form of some cognition. Mind will always become available in a form of a cognition. Sankalpa roopam. Parichinnam. No matter how powerful your mind is, yet it will be limited, even if you are Einstein. So just because you are Einstein, can you say that he is Sarvajna, is omniscient? Can you say? Or you still doubt that there is a possibility of him also going wrong? So this possible acceptance of this possibility that even Einstein's intelligence also can commit error, which means that you are admitting that the mind is limited, parichinna. Okay. So what are the visheshanas that he is giving for the mind? Utpatti vinashavat. Then sankalpa roopam, it is in form of a cognition. And third, parichinna. Now, furthermore, ghatavat bhuta karyam. So the fourth visheshana means an adjective which is given to introduce what it is. Bhuta karyam. It is what? It is an effect of the Panchamahabhutas. So it is also finally what? Matter. It is what? Matter. Bhutakaryam means matter. Exactly like the ghata, like the pot. The pot is also bhutakaryam. Isn't it, Sundaram? Bhutakaryam. That
Yes,
like that. So that bhutakaryam means now what? We are bhutakaryam. Then Kamadi vikara kalushitam. Now it is also polluted. Now you have to observe how your own mind creates its limitation and also creates the error. Though this is the only equipment for you to know, through which knowledge is gathered or had. You have your own desires, your insecurities, fears, etc. And so you look at the world through all these filters, right? You look at the world through all these filters. And that's why your knowledge is always going to be distorted. Now these phones, etc., they have filters when you do the pictures. So when you see the picture, you feel that, Bapre Bap, this girl is some Apsara directly descended. And then when this boy really goes to see her, my God, what happened? Your nose, your cheeks, all filtered. So distorted like that. We look at the world through all these fears, complexes, etc. One day, one of our Mahatmas in Calcutta then was sitting with one Sethji. All Marwadi Sethjis are sitting there in Calcutta. So when he was sitting in a park, so this Sethji saw one person coming, and Sethji said, "Here he comes. Now this fellow will ask me for donation." So and even before that person came, he was already angry. He was angry. क्या चाहिए? आप कौन सी डोनेशन चाहिए? So in this no donation. We had a function, and so I had come to give you an invitation card. So now after that person left, his move became very, like a sparrow. So you see, we look at the world through our filters, and that's why kamadi vikara kalushikritam. How is it? Because of the presence of those vikaras, what happens? It is the knowledge will be distorted. Smriti vismriti mat. And so also, smriti means memory, and vismriti means loss of memory. It is not amnesia, you forget things. You forget things because of various reasons. Our brain cells are also degenerating. So जितनी पढ़ाई करनी है आप ही कर लो, ज्ञान हो जाए. Because once when this knowledge takes place, Atma is Brahman, there is no turning back. Because this knowledge is not something that is committed to memory. That is the best part. You can forget everything else. What Shankaracharya said where, or what Sankshepa Shadikar said where and what. These things can be forgotten. But now that once having known that Atma is Purnavastu, then this can never be forgotten. Everything, even if you, that the ceiling collapses on your head and you have an amnesia, you wake up in the hospital. Main kaha, that Hindi film type. But yet, Atma is Brahman will not be forgotten at any point. Forgotten in the sense that because this is not committed to memory. Everything else is committed to memory. You may forget who's your wife, who's your son, but this cannot be forgotten that Atma is Brahman. So, Yad Gatvana Nivartante Tatham Paramam. Remember this. Okay? ठीक है ना संगीता? Acha. So now what is this mind that you are endowed with as an equipment to know? You understand what all things are there with it. Utpatti vinashavat, sankalpa rupam, parichinnam, ghatavad bhuta karyam, kamadi vikara kalushikritam, Smriti Vismritima. So he has given total 6 Visheshanas for you to understand this cognitive faculty that you have. Then, Evam Bhutam Mano Jadamiti Jnatavyam. So now about this mind, looking at this mind, what is Jnatavyam about it? What is worth knowing about it is that it is Jadam. Jadam matlab not Hindi Jad, पेड़ की जड़ वो जड़ मतलब inert, inert. And inert means that it is something that is illumined by consciousness. By itself, it is an object of knowledge. That which becomes an object of knowledge is jadam. Evam bhutam manha jadam iti jnatavyam. Tasya manasaha prakasha eva nasti. This mind does not have its own illumination. But how is it possible that through this mind I know these people, know this world, good, bad, pleasant, unpleasant, all this is known through mind. So you cannot totally say that this mind does not have any illumination. There is illumination. But how is this illumination? Is that the light of consciousness is reflected in this mind, and then from that reflected light, the mind illumines the world of objects and emotions. Okay, that is what it is happening. But the light belongs to consciousness. Tasya manasaha prakasha eva nasti tadapi manaschitta eva jnayate manaha chitaiva jnayate. So this mind is known by the chiti, by consciousness. Known means illumination. When you are going to say, Swamiji, I know this object, I know this pen, you are going to say. So knowing means now over there that this is an object of your knowledge, which means that you are illumining it. It is illumined for you. When you say, I don't know, that means it is that object is not illumined for you. Okay. So what is knowledge actually is nothing but only illumination. Then you are calling even information as knowledge. You call information as also knowledge. Why is information called as knowledge? Because for that information also for you plays a part of illumining something. When you say, I know this is pen, which means it is your information, and because of this, the pen is illumined for you. Its existence is known by you. And therefore, but what is in the purest sense, what is the meaning of the word knowledge? Illumination. Okay? And illumination is the nature of consciousness and not of the inert object. Mind being inert, it is bereft, it is devoid of illumination. There is illumination just as the sunlight is reflected by the moon. And that's why you have the moonlight. Moonlight is also actually what? Sunlight only. Reflected sunlight, like that. Iti. Iti. तदपि मनश्चितैव ज्ञायते तादृशं जडं मनः स्वप्रकाशचिदात्मानं कथं जानीयात्? न कथमपि जानीयात्. तदपि मनः चितैव ज्ञायते तादृशं जडं मनः स्वप्रकाशचिदात्मानं कथं जानीयात्? Now, with all this description about the mind, how can this mind illumine Swaprakasha Chidatma, self-illuminous Atma? Okay. How can? Tadrusham Jadam Manaha. If this is possible, then the pot also should illumine everything over here. Then Tadrusham Jadam Manaha Swaprakasa Chidatma Katham Janiyat. Katham Janiyat means he is not asking the vidha through which how does this mind. He is saying this is a sentence of objection. How can the mind know? That is it. Na kathamapi janiyat iti avehi. So what is that finally? Cannot. Swamiji, now all our hopes of knowing Paramatma are shattered. That means that you brought us all along all these 11 chapters, and now finally you are saying it cannot be known. So now we will go back home crying. Yeah? So he says no. Tarhi manasaivam drashtavyam iti shastrasya kim tatparyam. So this the disciple is not that easy nut to crack. He says, I'm not going to give up. This is how that tenacity has to be there. So he says, Manasa eva anudrashtavyam. Then the Shastra has said, Manasa eva, that Atma should be known through this mind only. Manasa eva. Manasa is in third case, instrumental case. So known by what? Mind. So mind is an instrumental case. So that's why it is Manasa. So you are admitting that the mind has become an instrument of knowing when it comes to knowing Atma. Right? Manasa, when you are going to use the instrumental case means what? You know what is instrumental case, correct, Ambika? Mr.
Karan,
Bhaskar?
Karana,
Uh,
no?
Karana.
With
Tritiya.
what? With what? With what?
With, through, by. That denotes instrumental case. That something has become an instrument. I write with pen. He went home by walk. Now that means what? Dwara. है ना? Manasa. Manasa, that word in that sentence, how this Atma should be known? There is this Vedavakya. Manasa eva anudrashtavyam. Should be known through the mind. Now that Vakyam proves that the mind has become an instrument of knowing. What did you say? That mind as an instrument of knowing also is lame, is inadequate. And what is said by the Veda is that mind is the instrument through which anudrashtavyam. Okay. So now what you have said and what the Shastra presents is in conflict. And you cannot leave this conflict. You will have to resolve it. Okay. So, Kim Tatparyam. And therefore now, sir, I have faith in what you have said. Guru Vakyeshu Shraddha Asti. And that's why now he wants to know what is the Tatparyam. So we cannot take this Vakyam for its face value. Now somebody says, the teacher says, Arey, ye to pagal ladka hai. Now means what? The other people should admit him to the hospital, mental hospital. पागल लड़का है इसका तात्पर्य क्या है कि थोड़ा नादान है. It does not mean that he's a mental case, or it could be just out of affection. People used to wait for Pudya Babaji Maharaj to call them Bewakoof. And Baba being Mudia, his Baba's pronunciation, the way he spoke, Bevakoof was also very sweet. Bekoof, 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 Bekoof बोलते थे. The people would wait for that. What the Tatparyam is not in saying that he is a fool. The Tatparyam is that you are dear to me. So now there is a Vakyam, Manasaiva Anudrashtam. So what you have said before about the mind is quite convincing, and it is a fact. We understand that it is Utpatti Vinashavat Sankalpa Rupa Parichinnam Ghatavad Bhuta Karyam Kamadi Vikara Kalushikatam Smriti Vismriti Mat etc. And that's why Jadam etc. And hence it does not have any power to illumine. So since it does not have any power to illumine, then where is the question of it illumining even the Atma which is self-illuminous? Huh? So there is a double impossibility. So then the Shastra has said this also. So there has to be a Tatparyam to it. Tatparyam means Vakturicha. Huh? Vakturicha. The Icha of the Vakta. Okay. Bhaskar, what is Shravanam by definition? सुनाई नहीं दे रहा भाई.
It's very fun. Listening.
तात्पर्य निश्चयम ना.
Tatparya Nishchayam.
So Shravanam is not listening to. Where do you start? Shravanam, we are listening to this. Are Shravan, listening becomes the first part. But having heard, when you come to the conclusion that this is what was said and meant, then you understand what is the Tatparya Nishcha. And over here, there is no Vakta because these are only Shabdas. It is Shruti only. So therefore, the Shabda has its own meaning. You don't have to give any meaning to it. And all that we are doing over here is not to give any interpretation, but to understand what is meant by those words. It is not giving any interpretation. That's why those people, oh, Shankaracharya is coming to this, Shankaracharya's interpretation, I can write my interpretation. So Shankaracharya is not interpreting anything. Always remember this. No interpretation business. If it was interpretation, we are not interested in you. We want to know what that Shruti has to deliver. If there is a mantra of the Upanishad, what that mantra means, we want to know. That's it. We are not interested what you think about it. Whatever you may think, you keep it in your home. रख ले अपने घर पे. Isn't it? We are interested in. So the Shabda also has its own meaning. And that's why that is the Tatparyam of the Shabda will have to be determined by looking at various factors. And that is how we do the Shravanam. So when that Shravanam is done, then there is a Nishchay. This is the meaning and nothing else. So till the point that you come, it is not adamancy. It is not adamancy. Huh? No. No, now you look at this. This is a pen. Okay. For all practical purposes, this is a pen. Then somebody comes and knows, Swami, this is a grasshopper. No, I say, no, this is a pen. Look how adamant you are. Now, can that be called as adamancy? So the thing is that it is a pen, it is a pen, that's it. So it is, so you are not accepting my method. How I am accepting yours, you should also accept my opinion also. What is there to accept? If it is that is what it is, that what it is. So what is the meaning of that is delivered by those words themselves. Provided we employ or everything to arrive at the conclusion that this is what is really meant. Okay? So what we do is reduce all the possibilities of errors everywhere. And that's how you understand a word. So till the point is Tatparya Nishchaya is reached, you cannot say that I have done the Vedanta Shravanam. Shravanam is not that just, some entertainment, 1 hour you have heard and that done. It is a tapasya. Remember this. Because you are handling the Shruti. And in order to handle the Shruti, the other day there were these people and I said this. The boy, this is how for thousands of years, that what these people are today calling as Brahminical system and patriarchal system and Brahminical system and all these both people. You just think about this. Generations after generations, not 1 century or 2 centuries. Even if you are going by the modern day people, that Vedas are 5,000 years, 5,000 years. The boy would leave the home, the mother's pallu at 8, and go and stay in the Gurugriha only to do the Veda, learn the Veda. Then learning over there, stays in the Gurukula, serving the teacher and everything. And 12 years, he is learning Shiksha, Vyakaranam, etc., all the Vedantas. Having learned that, now when he looks at those words bring the meaning. So just in order to arrive at the right meaning, so each individual has his own process to do. And that was generations after generations, for thousands of years, the Brahmins preserved it. It was not their career. Only for the preservation of knowledge and the system. And then today you wake up only to say that, oh, break this Brahminical system. What is this? Have you ever thought about it? We admit that in every system, some faults will arrive some time of the other. But just because the faults have arrived, which means will you throw that whole system away? Or you will remove those faults and keep the system, bring it back to work? Huh? तुम्हारे दांत में दर्द होता है तो क्या जाकर के जान दे देते हो क्या? क्या रूट कैनाल करके तुम दूसरा कुछ वहां पे बिठा लेते हो? तो कुछ फॉल्ट आ गया तो निकाल करके उसको ठीक करते हो कि नहीं? या oh, this body is of no use, this part is now useless करके now you go and throw that body into some drown it in the river. What are these people doing, especially down south, that Dravidian movement and all that? What is this? I really, I don't know. Maybe I'm naive. Huh? What? Today, a few days ago, on the Shravani Purnima, when you do this Upakarma, there was these people had organized some in Haridwar, some small meeting of all, various heads of the ashrams and things like that. And this is what even I said at that time. You have very little time to speak. I said, generally festivities all over the world. What do you mean by festivity? New clothes, tantalizing food, excitement, isn't it? And what is Upakarma? So the festival of the Brahmanas is the Shravani. Dasera belongs to the Kshatriyas, kings, because they have to do the Simollangan. Diwali belongs to the Vaishyas. But basically, the Brahmanas have Shravani Upakarma. What happens then? They have to consume Panchagavya, put Panchagavya. And for 3, 4, 5 hours, people of all generations are standing up waist deep in water. It is raining. And then they are doing some tarpana. And this is their festivity. Now you tell us, with such austerities, and it was not, some child must have tried someday, na? No, I won't eat this panchagavya or some, I want new dhoti. The father was, no, we have to go, we have to do it, it is our job, and brought him along. So the Brahmanas were made to live a life of austerity, poverty, and you have to say that the Manusmriti, etc., burned down Manusmriti. And for what? For what? You show one community which had knowledge and power, which lived in austerity in the entire history of the world. Show us one community. Of course, later on, the Peshwas, etc., then the power and zamindars and everything, the system came. They did. I'm not saying that the system doesn't get corrupted, but then there come reformers and they set the system back into its grooves. You don't say that let us uproot the system. You are uprooting a system and you're not giving any new system. And that's why we have confusion. You really don't know where you belong. You live over here and you feel that Western culture and all those values are great. And when you go over there, then you feel that, oh my God, where we are lost. So where do you really belong? Where do you really belong? Any which ways. So now come back to the point, and that is that in Shruti also there is what? That in order to understand that word, manasa eva andrashtavyam, shastrasya tatparyam, that tatparya has to be understood. One should understand the tatparyam. Shrunu, agnina taptasya swaranasya prakasho jayate, इति व्यवहारे अग्निना स्वर्णे विद्यमान प्रकाशो नूतनतया न संपाद्यते. Should listen. Now, agnina taptasya swarnasya prakasho jayate. Now, the gold, when cast into fire, becomes, it glows. It glows. Taptasya swarnasya prakasho jayate. So even after when it is filtered through that fire, it becomes, because all the impurities are burnt, which were apparently giving, dulling the shine of the gold. Prakasho jayate iti vyavahare. In this, what happens? Agnina swarane vidyamano prakashaha nutanataya na sampadyate. Now that shine which is there in that gold is not something that is given, lent by the fire. It is not lent by the fire. It was always there, and intrinsically gold is shiny. Correct? Gold is a shiny material intrinsically. न संपाद्यते किंतु अग्निना तप्ते सुवर्णे मले निरस्ते सति पूर्व सिद्ध स्वर्ण प्रकाशः स्वयं प्रकाशते. But what happens? Agnina tapte swarane. When the swarna is heated by the fire, then male niraste, the mala, the impurities are removed, burnt. Okay. As a result, Purva Siddha Swarna Prakasha, the shine of the gold, Swayam Prakashate, comes forth by itself. No Nutana Prakasha Sampadyate. So now an example is given, provided to you. What we have to understand from that example is going to be said further. But there is an example given. And that in that example, what do we understand? That gold is intrinsically shiny. But when brought from the ore, it is not. Then what is done? The mala is all burnt. Removed means it is not removed like it is burnt in fire. And then what remains? That gold shines forth. This is the example now. And then another point of this example is it is intrinsic shine. It is not acquired shine. It is something intrinsic. Further, Nutanataya sampadyate iti chet. So now example is given. From that example, you are going to understand something still further. But what if the example itself is faulty? What if the example itself is faulty? And how to make coffee? Oh, the same way how you make palak sabji. What example? Huh? Your example also has to be defectless. So the Purva Paksha says, let us say if there is a defect in the example, then what would happen? Nutanataya sampadyate chet, if we say that the shine of the gold is something newly acquired, Nutanataya sampadyate iti chet, if we say so, then Amapaka nikshipte ghate api agnihi prakasham sampadayet. And how did it happen? Because that gold was cast into fire. Then in that case, Amapaka nikshipte, Amapaka means in the furnace. Okay, where all the pots are getting baked. The furnace of the potter. Then Amapaka nikshipte ghate. There was a ghata that he made out of clay. Then it was cast into the furnace. Pakate na gada banake. So it is roasted. Roasted means cooked. Baked. Baked. Not roasted, baked. Yeah. So, Amapaka nikshipte gate Agnihi prakasham sampadayat. Then if you, according to you, it was the Agni which has lent the shine to the gold, then this Agni also should give shine to the pot. If this happened, then we would agree that gold also has borrowed the shine from the fire. Tathana drishyate, so it is not seen. And therefore now that thin possibility of the example being sadosha or defective is also settled. Ayam artho. Now this is what is the meaning. Yatha तथा मनश्च आत्माकारेण परिणममानम्. Now this is something that we must know. Tatha, because this is a nice subject. Manascha atmakarena parinamamanam. Now this mind also has assumed the form of atma. But atma, you said, has no form. And it can. Like how when all the anatmakara is and ahamasmi, just this form, without associating any name, any form, any attributes to aham. Yet ahamasmi is an experience or not. That experience means that ahamasmi is also cognition. For that cognition to be there, I should also be there. For for the ghatakara cognition to be there, ghata has to be there or not. So ahamasmi, for this cognition also to arise, I should be there or not. That is the prerequisite, without which the cognition will not take place. And so, manascha atmakarena parinamamanam atma pratibimba sahitam cha. Now this mind, with this pratibimba of atma, pratibimba means a reflection of consciousness, pratibimba sahitam cha sad atma atma Mithyabhutam anadi ajnanam bhadate. It will remove the ignorance. How is this ignorance? Anadi. It does not have a beginning. So that's why ignorance is beginningless. If ignorance had a beginning, you will have to say that knowledge prevailed before and then the ignorance came later on. But nobody has this experience. Your experience is that you did not know something before, then you knew. Okay. So ignorance was there from beginning, which means from which beginning? So as far as we can go. Anadi. Okay. Another thing about this ignorance is it is mithyabhutam. Mithyabhutam means huh? Nah, it means it is only an appearance. You cannot say, so when your experience about these Rajju Sarpa, that snake and the rope is, snake is. So you somehow are associating existence when you are saying is. And when you say doesn't exist, which means non-existent, that means that there is no form of existence can ever be associated with it. But you, what was your previous experience of that snake? Snake is. And therefore, that what is mithya bhutam, and this is the difference between mithya and aligam, vandhyaputra, etc. Okay, so Mithyabhutam anadi ajnanam badhate. Niraste ajnane swatva swayameva bhasate. And when so what do you require for removing of avidya? The mind becomes an instrument in removing the avidya. But if you are going to say that the mind illumines Atma, no. Because in any knowledge to take place, there are these two parts. One is, now let us say that when you say Ghatam Janami, you are saying, I know the pot. What has happened? That previously you did not know, which means there was ignorance. So ignorance is removed. Then the Ghata is illumined. Correct? There are two things which are taking place. That the ignorance is removed and the pot is illumined. And thus your experience is aham ghatam janami. Ghata prakash. Okay. Two parts for any knowledge. So also in case of Brahmajnanam, the first part is that the ignorance has to be removed. How is it removed? That through this Brahmakara vritti, the ignorance is removed. Okay. But what happens in the Ghata Jnanam is that ignorance is removed, but now the consciousness which is there, that illumines the pot. So pot is illumined. Remember this. Now, when the ignorance over the consciousness is removed, avaranam is removed, but do you require to illumine the consciousness like how the pot was also illumined? Because self-illuminous, Swayam Prakash. Okay. And therefore, out of these two processes, one process is required. And that process is accomplished through cognition. So when the Shruti says Manasa eva anudrashtavyam, which means that for the avidya nivritti you require the Brahmakara vritti, that is true. But for you to say that I know because I think I am, so your existence is determined by a thought, or is the existence of the thought determined by you? The thing is, what determines what? If you are saying, well, I'm a person, I'm good, bad, then the thought is giving you an existence. That's okay. But when you say that I, the meaning of this I is just consciousness without any name, form, or attributes, over there, the thought is not giving you any existence. The existence of the thought is because of your presence. And thus, manasa eva anudrashtavyam, in this case, what is there? We require the mind for avidya nivritti, removal of ignorance, but not for illumination of the self. Okay? Iti niraste ajnane swatma swayameva bhasate. Iti manasa eva anudrashtavyam. Iti shastrasya tatparyam. Tasmat manaschatmana eva jnayate natu manasa jnayate. And therefore, what is the conclusion of this discussion? Mind itself is known, illumined by the self. Self is not illumined by the mind. And therefore, whatever this self aham is not a product of mind. is not a product of mind. It's not a concept. It's not a concept. Is whatever it is. So tasmad manascha atmana eva shayate natu atma manasa shayate. Okay. Etadva iti ched shrunu. How, sir, do you say that? Shrunu, listen to this. Deepena andhakara vinashasthale sthalincha tailancha vartishcha iti etatrayam andhakaram vinashayitum na shakti. Now, in the he gives you provides you another example. He says, in a place there is where there is little darkness, there is a deepak, the lamp. So the lamp, the wick in the lamp, the fuel in the lamp, the oil in the lamp, sthalincha, tailancha, vartishcha. There are three things. Now, all these three things are kept in a room. Will it dispel the darkness? Vina andhakaram vinashayitum na shakti. Sarvatra paripurna karanaktihi api etat sadhanam vihaya kevalam swayameva tam andhakaram nashayitum na shaknoti. Now, another thing about Agni is that Agni which is unmanifest. Will unmanifest Agni remove the darkness? So neither these things, now that Agni is unmanifest, Agni is present or not? It is present there. But even though all these things are there, Varti, Sthali and Pailamcha, all these things are there, unmanifest Agni is also there, but all these things together also cannot dispel the darkness. And that's why Tathapi Tad Varti Sambandhi Agni Deepa Namadheyaha Sanantakaram Bhate. But when this Agni now appears on the Varti, on that Varti, then it is called, what is the name? Deepa. It is called as Deepa. So you call deep means this, earthen little, small. But what is called as Deepa? Tad Varti Sambandhi Agni Deepa Namadheyaha. When the Agni becomes manifest on the Varti, it is called as Deepa. Now this Deepa San Andhakaram Badhate removes the Andhakaram. Evam Prakrite Sthali Rupa Sharire. So also in our present discussion, what is there in our present topic? Sthali Rupa Sharire. There is the physical body which is in place of the earthen lamp, cup, that small cup. Then evam prakrite sthali rupa sharire karma rupa tailena, okay, utthapita varti rupa manasi. So now there is varti which is mind. Agni rupa atma aruhya. When this atma, this consciousness appears in the gets reflected in the mind, tad abhedena avasthito jivanam api san tattat vishayavaraka jnananda rupantakaram nirasya deepo ghatadi padarthaniva bahyabhyantara padartham prakashayati. Tad abhena avasthito jivanam api. They are very determined. They will not wait. So I think we will have to stop here. But if you have understood this much, tathapi tat varti sambandhi agni deepanamadheya asanantakaram bhadate. Example, let that example sink in. Then we will see if the drishtanta is clear, how to see it in Darshtanta is what is the next step. We will see that when we meet tomorrow evening. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यतो वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेद विभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओम शांति शांति शांति। नमः पार्वतीपतये।
हर
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 हर महादेव।
महादेव। श्री
Thank you
गुरुदेव।
all. Thank you very much.